My beloved child, don't look away now, because the picture you thought was simply another photograph has already become the center of a conversation your person never expected to have. Stay with me. Something shifted the instant their friend saw your face, and it was not because of anything obvious. It was not simply your appearance, your smile, or the way you looked into the camera. Their friend stared at the picture for several quiet seconds, as though something about you had awakened a thought they could not immediately explain. Your person noticed the silence. They expected a casual reaction, perhaps a quick compliment, perhaps a simple question, but instead their friend looked up with an expression that made the entire moment feel different. And then came the words that changed the direction of the conversation. Now I understand. Your person froze. Understand what? What could possibly be understood from one picture? This is where the story begins. Their friend looked at your photograph again and said something your person had been avoiding admitting even to themselves. This is why you could never truly forget them. Don't skip, because those words were only the beginning. Your person tried to smile it away, but their friend had known them long enough to recognize when a smile was hiding something deeper. There are moments when another person sees through the explanation and notices the truth underneath it, and this became one of those moments. Your person had spoken about you carefully before. Sometimes they changed the subject. Sometimes they pretended the connection belonged entirely to the past. Sometimes they made everything sound smaller than it really felt. Yet the photograph revealed something their words had been unable to conceal. Their friend could see that you were not just a random memory. You represented an unfinished chapter. And in this fictional spiritual message, Archangel Michael stands beside this revelation as a symbol of courage, truth, and the moment when hidden emotions finally become impossible to dismiss. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you inside what happened next. Their friend asked, "Why do you become different whenever this person comes up?" Your person did not answer immediately. The room became quiet. The picture remained between them. And suddenly every excuse your person had used sounded weaker than before. Their friend continued, gently but firmly, "You can tell everyone you moved forward. You can tell yourself you stopped caring. But your face changes when you talk about them." Your person looked away. Don't look away now, because what comes next changes everything. Their friend had accidentally touched the one truth your person had been guarding. There was still something alive beneath all that silence. Not obsession. Not fantasy. Something quieter and more meaningful, the recognition that certain people leave an imprint because they showed us a version of ourselves we cannot easily forget. Your person remembered conversations with you that seemed ordinary when they happened but became precious afterward. They remembered moments when you understood something without needing a long explanation. They remembered your patience, your distance, your presence, and perhaps most powerfully, the things neither of you ever managed to say clearly. Their friend studied the photograph once more and whispered, "There is something peaceful about them." Those words landed differently. Your person had spent so much time focusing on everything complicated between you that they had almost forgotten the peace. The strange comfort. The sense of familiarity. The feeling that even silence around you carried meaning. Your answer is closer than you think. The shocking revelation was not that their friend recognized you. It was that their friend recognized what you represented inside your person. And once that truth had been spoken aloud, your person could no longer place it back into hiding. Something huge is waiting for you, because the conversation was about to move from your picture to a question that would shake your person completely. Their friend leaned closer and asked, if this person appeared in front of you tomorrow and asked you to speak honestly, what would you say? Your person went still. Stay with me. They had prepared answers for many imaginary situations, but not this one. Their mind immediately traveled toward you. For one brief moment, all the distance disappeared. They imagined hearing your voice again. They imagined having no audience, no pride to protect, no complicated history to explain, only one chance to tell the truth. Their friend waited. Finally your person said something softly, I don't know where I would begin. And their friend replied, then begin with what you never said. That sentence changed everything. It opened a door inside your person that had remained closed for far too long. Suddenly they were remembering the exact moments when honesty almost happened. The message they almost sent. The conversation they postponed. The question they wanted to ask. The apology they considered. The appreciation they felt but never properly expressed. And through all of it, your photograph remained there like a silent mirror reflecting the unfinished truth. What comes next changes everything, because your person then admitted, I thought time would make this easier. Their friend asked, did it? Another silence. Then came the answer, no. It just taught me how to hide it better. My child, that was the turning point. Not because everything instantly became perfect, but because pretending had finally lost its power. The friend who had merely looked at your picture was now witnessing a confession your person had never intended to make. And symbolically, this is where Michael's sword of truth enters the story. Not as something frightening, but as an image of clarity cutting through confusion. There comes a moment when truth becomes simpler than avoidance, when the heart becomes tired of translating itself into silence, and when one unexpected conversation exposes what years of careful explanations could not. Don't skip. Your person's friend was about to reveal something else, something they had noticed long before seeing your photograph. Do you know, they said, every time you talk about the future, you describe the kind of connection you already had with this person? Your person stared at them. The friend continued, you say you want someone who understands you without forcing you to perform. Someone who makes ordinary moments feel meaningful. Someone you can trust with the parts of yourself you rarely show. But whenever you describe that person, you are describing what you told me about them. Your person looked back at your picture. And suddenly, something that had been scattered across dozens of memories came together. Stay with me, because this is where the emotional twist begins. Your person had been searching forward for qualities they had already recognized backward. They had been imagining a future while unknowingly using you as part of the emotional blueprint. That realization did not give them all the answers, but it gave them a question they could no longer ignore. What if the connection had mattered more than they allowed themselves to admit? Their friend did not tell them what to do. They simply said, maybe you don't need to decide everything tonight. Maybe you only need to stop lying to yourself about what mattered. And that sentence remained in the room. Your person picked up the picture again. This time they looked differently. Not as someone examining an image, but as someone looking through a doorway into a chapter they thought had already closed. Don't look away now. Because the next detail is the one that made the entire conversation feel almost impossible. Their friend pointed toward something in the photograph, not something dramatic, but a tiny detail your person had completely forgotten. Perhaps it was something you were wearing, something visible in the background, or simply the expression on your face. Whatever it was, it brought back one particular memory with startling clarity. Your person remembered exactly where they had been when they first realized you were becoming important to them. They remembered pretending the feeling was ordinary. They remembered telling themselves not to read too deeply into it. But now the memory returned with a completely different meaning. Their friend asked, "Why are you smiling?" Your person had not even realized they were. That small smile became the second confession. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Your person then said, "They always had a way of making things feel lighter." Their friend answered, "Then why did you make the memory so heavy?" That question went straight through every defense. Your person had spent so long associating you with what went wrong, what became complicated, what remained unanswered, that they had forgotten to honor what had been beautiful. And perhaps that is the deeper spiritual symbolism of this moment. Sometimes healing begins not by rewriting the ending but by remembering the truth of the beginning. Something meaningful happened. Something real was felt. Something changed both people. Whether the path returns, transforms, or simply teaches, the truth deserves to be acknowledged. Your answer is closer than you think. The friend had not changed everything by giving your person instructions. They changed everything by giving your person permission to see the connection without the old defenses surrounding it. And once your person saw it differently, they began remembering you differently too. The walls were no longer as convincing. The old explanations were no longer enough. Their friend finally said, "I think you're afraid that if you admit how much they mattered, you'll have to admit how much you still care." Your person's eyes returned to the photograph. And this time there was no immediate denial. Stay with me, because what happened after that silence is where this story becomes almost impossible to forget. Your person placed the photograph down, but their hand remained beside it, as if even moving away felt strangely difficult. Their friend noticed and said nothing for a moment. Sometimes the most powerful conversations are not built from constant words. Sometimes the silence itself becomes the confession. Don't look away now. Your person finally asked, "What did you really think when you first saw the picture?" Their friend smiled slightly. "Do you actually want the truth?" Your person nodded. The answer came slowly, "I thought, this is someone who knows you." Your person's expression changed. Their friend continued, "Not the version everyone sees. I mean the real you. I could tell from the way you looked at the picture before you handed it to me." Your person immediately asked what they meant. And the friend explained that before showing them your photograph, your person had paused for half a second. Their voice had changed when saying your name. Their posture had softened. These tiny signals meant nothing individually, but together they revealed something enormous. This is where the story begins again at a deeper level. Your person had been trying to control the story with words while their own reactions were telling the truth. And this is where the fictional presence of Archangel Michael becomes symbolic once more. Courage is not always a dramatic declaration. Sometimes courage begins with admitting one sentence to yourself that you have avoided for months or years. They mattered to me. That sentence sounds simple until someone has spent a long time pretending otherwise. What comes next changes everything. Their friend then asked your person whether they had ever considered that you might have misunderstood their silence. Your person looked confused. What do you mean? The friend answered, maybe you thought staying quiet protected everyone. But what if they interpreted your silence as indifference? The question landed heavily. Your person had never seriously considered that possibility. They had assumed you somehow knew. Knew what they felt. Knew what they meant. Knew why they pulled back. Knew why they hesitated. But suddenly they realized how unfair that assumption might have been. People cannot always understand what remains unspoken. A heart can feel deeply while appearing completely distant. And someone on the other side may only have the distance to interpret. Don't skip, because this realization began changing the entire memory of your connection. Your person remembered moments when you seemed quieter than usual. Times when you stopped asking questions. Times when perhaps you gave them space because you believed that was what they wanted. At the time, your person interpreted your distance as evidence that you were moving on. But now another possibility entered their mind, maybe both of you had been responding to each other's silence. Maybe each person thought the other had chosen distance first. Maybe two people had been protecting themselves while accidentally convincing the other that they did not care. The friend listened as your person began connecting these memories aloud. There was one time, your person said, when they asked me something and I gave a completely different answer than what I actually felt. Their friend asked why. Your person replied, because I was afraid the real answer would change everything. The friend looked at your photograph and said, maybe the false answer changed everything instead. My child, stay with me. That sentence echoed. Because how often does life turn on something that was never said? How many relationships are shaped not only by the words spoken, but by the truths withheld? Your person was now revisiting the past with new eyes. Not to punish themselves. Not to create regret. But to understand. And understanding is powerful because once you understand a pattern, you no longer have to repeat it. Something huge is waiting for you. Their friend then noticed something remarkable. Your person had stopped speaking about you in the past tense. Earlier they had said, they were. Now they were saying, they are. They understand. They make me think. They have this way about them. Their friend smiled. Your person asked why. Listen to yourself, the friend said. You're talking about them like they're still part of your emotional world. Your person became quiet again. They had not noticed. But words often reveal where the heart is standing even when the mind is pretending to be somewhere else. Your answer is closer than you think. The mystery was no longer whether the picture affected the friend. The mystery was why the friend's reaction affected your person so deeply. And the answer was becoming clear, because someone outside the connection had finally reflected back what your person could not see from inside it. Their friend saw tenderness where your person saw complication. They saw unfinished emotion where your person saw distance. They saw recognition where your person saw confusion. And suddenly the connection did not look like a failure. It looked like a story interrupted before both people understood what it was teaching them. Don't look away now, because the once-in-a-lifetime revelation came when their friend said, maybe this person was not placed in your life to make everything easy. Maybe they were there to make you honest. Your person stared at them. Those words reached deeper than anything else. Because you had challenged something inside them. Perhaps you made them confront vulnerability. Perhaps you showed them what it felt like to be truly seen. Perhaps your presence exposed patterns they had carried for years without noticing. Perhaps losing closeness with you forced them to understand what they valued. This is where spiritual symbolism becomes powerful. Certain connections act like mirrors. They reveal the places where we are ready to grow. They show us what we fear, what we desire, what we protect, and what we must learn to express. The friend was not claiming to know destiny. They were simply noticing transformation. You're different because of them, they said. Your person nodded slowly. I know. That was the first time they admitted it without hesitation. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you, because once those words were spoken, your person finally told their friends something they had apparently never told anyone. There had been one particular moment between you, perhaps an ordinary conversation, perhaps a goodbye, perhaps a look across a room, that your person replayed privately more times than they would ever admit. It was not necessarily dramatic. That was exactly why it mattered. It felt real. There was no performance in it. No pressure. Just a moment when your person felt completely present with you. They described it now, carefully. Their friend listened. And when your person finished, the friend asked, "Do you realize that's the happiest I've heard you sound talking about anyone?" Your person laughed softly, but their eyes remained thoughtful. The friend continued, "You keep telling the story like you're trying to convince yourself it meant less than it did." Your person replied, "Maybe because admitting it mattered means admitting I could have handled things differently." Their friend answered, "Or it means you learned something." That distinction changed the atmosphere. The past did not have to become a courtroom. It could become a teacher. And suddenly your person stopped looking at the photograph with regret and began looking with gratitude. That emotional shift was subtle but enormous. What comes next changes everything. They said your name quietly, not dramatically, simply naturally. Their friend heard the warmth in it. And then your person asked the question they had avoided all evening, "Do you think they ever felt the same?" Their friend refused to pretend they could know your heart. Instead they gave an answer far more meaningful, "I don't know what they felt. But I know what you felt, because I can see it now." My child, that was important. This story is not about claiming access to another person's private thoughts. It is about the courage to become honest with one's own. Your person could not control your feelings, your choices, your journey, or your future. But they could finally stop hiding from their own truth. And the photograph became the catalyst. A simple picture. A friend's unexpected observation. One sentence. One question. One evening. Yet afterward, your person would never be able to tell themselves the same old story again. Something had changed forever, not because destiny had forced an ending, but because clarity had arrived. Don't skip. Their friend then said, "Whatever happens from here, promise yourself one thing: if you ever get another honest moment with this person, don't waste it pretending." Your person looked at the picture for a long time. Then they said, "I wouldn't." Their voice carried certainty this time. No joke. No deflection. No carefully constructed distance. Just certainty. "Stay with me. Because there was still one more twist waiting inside the photograph, and neither of them had noticed it yet.